Episcopalian Bishop Mariann Budde went on The View Wednesday morning, where she discussed her sermon in Tuesday's National Prayer Service, in which President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and their families had front row seats. Let's watch.
I think if you read what I said, and how could it not be politicized, right? We're in a hyper-political climate. One of the things I caution about is the culture of contempt in which we live that immediately rushes to the worst possible interpretations of what people are saying and to put them in categories such as the ones you've just described. That's part of the air we breathe now. And I was trying to speak a truth that I felt needed to be said, but to do it in as respectful and kind a way as I could.
To recap, in a rare public rebuke, the Bishop of the Washington National Cathedral, who you just saw there, gave a sermon and looked directly at President Trump when she said this.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives.
Budde then went on to say this.
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
President Trump has, of course, surrounded himself with fervent supporters, and a vocal challenge is becoming a rare commodity.
Trump clapped back and posted this. The so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone, not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. So here we are in this one. Look, I think there's no doubt that it was a political sermon. It spoke directly to liberal or democratic views on what the Trump administration plans to do in terms of protections for LGBT people and protections for immigrants or deportations of illegal immigrants. It was not just a let's manifest positivity toward people who disagree with us or the downtrodden. It got into very specific, concrete political terms. That doesn't sit well with people. Now, I don't think, Donald Trump is such like a special snowflake that he has to go around never hearing criticism or disagreement. He also could have opted not to attend this service with this person who is a well-known critic, liberal and critic of his policies. I'm seeing a lot of conservatives, including Matt Walsh, say whoever in the Trump comms people set this up to happen this way should immediately be fired. This is outrageous. They should have known that she's what he describes as a radical liberal, and it should have never happened. I don't care if Trump has to. He didn't have to. He happened to. It's not. It's well. He's got to hear people he disagrees with. She disagrees with them. I don't think it's the end of the world. Now, to hold her up as some kind of hero, and now she's going to be a newly minted View correspondent, and they're just like, oh my God, it was so brave and so wonderful. It's like, I don't know. Okay, that's
the High Bishop of the Resistance, Robby. You're not relishing that kind of title.
Silly, yes.
No. Look, I think that there is. I have mixed feelings when church leaders involve themselves in politics because they're not elected by anybody, and
they don't have any political expertise.
And when, and also, not to get into a whole other area, but when the Catholic Church in particular starts pontificating on the morality of other people, given its history in relation to just abhorrent behaviour and complicity in the child sexual abuse stuff, I have very limited patience for that. And in fairness to Bishop Budde, she's in the Episcopalian Church. I think she would clearly argue that there is a moral imperative for church leaders to put forth these kind of ideas. In her defence, I do think that there are a lot of people in this country who are sincerely fearful of the Trump administration and what is to come in the next months and over the next 4 years. I think that in the migrant community, there is obvious concern about mass deportations, and there are a lot of people, for example, in families which have mixed immigration status. Some people are here legally and some are not. We were talking at another point during Rising today with Brianna Wu, who was talking about fears in the trans community about that sort of thing. So I do not think there is anything wrong with giving voice to those fears. I do think that casting the speech as a call to national unity is pretty obviously inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly accustomed to listening to sermons, homilies. I disagree with. I was educated in Catholic school, as most of our regular viewers know. I consider myself culturally Catholic, although not particularly religiously inclined. And sometimes, especially when I went to at college at the University of Michigan, attending a church there, as I did occasionally, and hearing the sermons from the very progressive Ann Arbor type priests was heard a lot of political things.
Did you lose your faith at the liberalism of the Catholic
No,
Church?
that was not the reason for that. But I did not agree with a lot of what I had to hear there. So I sympathize with Donald Trump on that front.
So where I sympathize with the bishop a little more is that I do think one of the reasons she has been sort of raised up by more liberal people right now is because of this perception that other people are bending the knee or being too acquiescent in the Trump agenda. And we've talked quite a lot on Rising about tech people and the Mark Zuckerbergs and Jeff Bezoses of the world, who certainly liberals feel, I think, have gone too far in a pro-Trump direction. And so to hear Trump called out in those sort of very clear moral terms plainly has a constituency. Do I think that now means that, Mariann Budde should set the direction of the nation? No, not particularly, but I think she's perfectly entitled to give her view and give it in that vigorous and clear way.
She is, and he was entitled to respond in kind, as he absolutely did. And we shall see if there are many more moments like that. That does it for us today on Rising. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can listen to podcasts, and we will be back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.